What is up, everyone? Yasser Hatab, along with Mamadou Diallo. My guy is here. We're excited. We're finally here, guys. So excited to talk to you all about foreclosures. Mamadou, say what's up to these people, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Mamadou Diallo, badass pre-foreclosure acquisition specialist down in the market in Atlanta, here with my guy Yasser, Mr. Captain. We're about to fly some planes today, guys. Be ready.
Yeah. We're about to take them high, baby. Let's go. So we're going to talk about foreclosures. Obviously, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Yasser Hatab. I go by the Property Captain, full-time real estate investor, full-time acquisitions guy, and then full-time pilot. So yes, I do sleep in between some of those, but you know, I'll rest when I rest, right? So Mamadou, talk to me about your foreclosures, man. What's happening down in Georgia, my guy?
Man, we just closed on one yesterday while I was at the Aspire event. We just closed on one, which was a pre-foreclosure / agent outreach. So it's not selling on the market, but also the seller is in pre-foreclosure. We bought it using, as you guys know, the subject to creative finance, which we're going to break down later. I'm not going to go into the definition right now. And then the exit was to wrap it to an end buyer where we finance it to a homestead buyer, become the bank. So we did that yesterday. Outside of that, got a lot in escrow right now. And yeah, that's about it, man. Just working.
I love it. I love it. You know, thank God, right? Knock on wood, man. So yeah. I'll tell you what, man, let's talk about the differences here. I get a lot of questions in my DMs, you know, Instagram, Facebook, everything about the types of foreclosures. Obviously, you and I have known each other for quite some time now, and we do the same thing, right? We're all about foreclosures. Lately, I've been focusing on probates too, to, you know, add peanut butter to the jelly, you know. So I get this question a lot, you know, hey, what's the difference between pre-foreclosure and foreclosure? You want to take a crack at it and then I'll add on to it?
Absolutely. So pre-foreclosures and foreclosures, guys, is like day and night, right? Pre-foreclosures, the keyword is P-R-E. So it's prior to the property going to the auction and the seller getting foreclosed on, right? So you want to catch the seller when they get that letter saying, hey, we've noticed from the lender, Wells Fargo, Chase, whatever, saying, hey, we've noticed we're behind. Do something or we will do something about it, right? So you get to the seller and you help them find a solution before the property goes to the auction. That's a pre-foreclosure. So you can get these deals off market, typically off market. You can get it potentially on the MLS. Never tried that route, but so that's the best way to get the best deals because you're negotiating directly with the seller, right? You can help them get caught up on those arrears if they're low. You can do loan modifications or those type of things. And then you can take over the mortgage, subject twos, whatever, right? That's a different story. We can talk about the strategies on the acquisitions. But that's the idea. When it comes to foreclosures, that means the property already went to the auction and got sold at the auction. And now you're going to a real estate agent that have it listed as a foreclosure, but that doesn't mean it's a deal. It just means that the property went to the auction. It went through the bidding process, but nobody bought that property. And now the lender is working with specific real estate agents to list these properties for them. There's actually another term for them, is REOs, is bank-owned properties. So don't get too excited when you see a property on the MLS, the multiple listing services, listed as a foreclosure. It doesn't mean that it's a deal. You better complete that. All right.
I love it. And a lot of people don't know this, but I actually started, you know, way back, like, you know, right after 9/11, but I didn't really jump into foreclosures until right before the 2008 crash. And so that's actually how I started, Mamadou. You're talking about REO. That was my middle initials, you know, YMH REO, right? That's all I did.
Foreclosures.
I was the OG of, you know, so once I realized that REOs was the back end of it and I started learning about pre-foreclosures, what triggered it for me was a family that was kicked out of the house. They were taken out of the house and I was actually going to, you know, open up the keys, you know, to the new house. And I realized, man, what if I'm able to help these people out before they lose their house? I search. Yeah. And back then we didn't have, you know, Google was just starting out and all that stuff, you know? So I'm like, I started going to all these REI meetings, trying to figure out like, hey, does anybody know how to get to these people before they get into foreclosure. Then I learned the term, obviously, pre-foreclosure, right? Which is reaching out to them and stuff. So that's pretty cool. What the difference is really the time, right? Between when you reach out to them and when it gets closed, essentially. And also who you're buying it from, right?
Oh, 100%. Yep, 100%.
So, if you're buying it, let's say if you're buying it from a pre-foreclosure, you're buying it directly to the seller, DTS, right? But, in foreclosure situation, after the auction, it's DTB, direct to bank.
Yeah, 100%. The seller is no longer involved.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, I know, obviously, I get this question a lot, and I'm reading off of a question list that we compiled here. One of the questions I got was, "Hey, Cap, hey, Mamadou, what's up with judicial versus judicial, non-judicial? What is that all about? Talk to me, man."
Guys, judicial and non-judicial states is basically, I'm gonna keep it really simple. We're not gonna get technical here. Is if you are in states where judicial states is like Maryland, New Jersey, blue states, I can put it like that. Blue states is where the lender have to go through a lot of crap to foreclose on the seller. They have to go through it in front of a judge. The process is lengthy. I've talked to sellers when I used to live in Maryland, because my first pre-foreclosure deal, Yasser, was an accident, right? When I quit my 9 to 5, which is in Belgium, all the way in another continent, I came here, I was doing Uber and Lyft. And I had a strategy in my Uber and Lyft. So I was doing Uber and Lyft, and then I'm driving for dollars, right? So my goal was, if you get in my car, before you get out of the car, you will know that I'm in real estate, and I'll ask you if you know anybody in the neighborhood selling. And I'll tell you, hey, if I get the deal, I'll pay you a referral. So I do this pitch every single day to every passenger I can, right? So I always spark conversation. One of them told me, hey, there's a property, this is near BWI Airport in Baltimore. There's a property there, it's been vacant for 2 years. I don't know the neighbor personally, but it's been vacant for 2 years if you can do something with it. Every other house look beautiful. So I went, called this seller through peoplesearch.com, found the number. And this seller was behind on his mortgage. It's been 2 years.
Wow. 2 years.
2 years in Maryland. And still haven't gotten foreclosed on.
Wow.
That is a judicial state for you. That means this lender is been scrambling for 2 years trying to take this house from this owner, and they can't. Who's in between them and foreclosing on the house? A judge.
Yeah.
Right? So this seller's story was, he's been at the hospital. He was a GC, filed for bankruptcy, fell, went to the hospital. It's been 2 years. Then he got out of the hospital, 2 years. Then he went to live with his daughter. So he just assumed that the lender already took over the property. So I'm like, no, they haven't took over the property yet. It's still on your name, blah, blah. Long story short, he was like, if you can do anything with it, blah, blah, right? So that's a judicial state for you. It means it's lengthy. The lender have to go through a lot of crap. They have to go through it in front of a judge to get the right to foreclose on you, to keep it simple, right? And non-judicial state is more aggressive, which I love. Texas, here in Atlanta, red states, we can put it that way too,
yeah.
Right?
I like it. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So it means the process is faster. It means by the time the lender says, hey, you haven't paid, we're about to come for you, pay, or we're going to take over the property, it can take like 3 months. And when they don't have to go through a judge, nothing like that, right? And if they foreclose on you, the next day, the sheriff is at the door. Bang, 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 get out, right? So the sellers, by extension, have way more motivation to work with you when you reach out to them and try to help them find a solution. In the judicial states in Maryland, most sellers will be like, which I've done deals in New Jersey too, which I think you do deals in New Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most sellers, they will be behind since 2015, haven't gotten foreclosed on, and they'll be like, if you call them, if you can get caught up on my arrears and then give me $100,000 in my pockets and potentially come and clean my house, then I'll sell it to you. Otherwise, I know the lender will not foreclose on me soon. I don't care, right? So I found out going in non-judicial states virtually, you can do this virtually. I started doing way more deals in Texas virtually because it's way more aggressive. The sellers have a way more sense of urgency. So that's the difference. Judicial states, blue states, non-judicial states, red states, process is way faster in non-judicial states. It doesn't mean you don't get deals in judicial states. It's just way harder So if you want to have more lead flow, you may want to consider virtually adding non-judicial states into your bucket of outreach.
I love it. And speaking of lead flow, it's all about, obviously where you're getting them from, right? How do you reach out to these people? And we're going to talk about it here in a second, because that's one of the questions that came up. I could tell you this: I've handled judicial, I've handled non-judicial, right? I don't prefer either. I like both, right? Because each one has its pros and cons, right? If you're just starting out in foreclosures, and that's okay, you watch this YouTube or live, with Mamadou and Yasser, and you're like, man, foreclosures is my jam now. That's it. I'm gonna be the foreclosure king or queen. Then you decide I'm gonna jump into it. Well, then you have to. The second decision you have to make is, hey, should I go judicial or non-judicial? Personally, from my experience, dealing with blue states, it is one of the best states to learn the foreclosure process without being rushed. You see what I mean? So, that's why I'm always recommending blue states. I'm going to start using that from now on, Mamadou. Thanks.
I know, that's a good one.
I'm going to keep on saying blue states now. That's it.
The way to simplify. Otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's why when you're starting up, maybe learning the process through blue states is easier, because like you said, we're working on one right now from 2016. I'm like, wait, 2016, that's crazy. I do the math on my fingers, So, and these are professional adjournment. All right. In New Jersey, we call it adjournments, and they're allowed 2 typically, which is where they're able to push the foreclosure 2 times. And then that's the defendant adjournment. They're professional adjournment advocates. That's what they're called. Right. They're very good at what they do. They file bankruptcy, and they've done all the stuff to push the foreclosure. That gives you time as someone new getting into this to learn the language, right? To learn what an adjournment is and all that stuff, and what a judicial is, and what a trustee is, which is essentially just an attorney. So with non-judicial, now that's a whole different ballgame, right? Everything's quick. And then it happens so quick that by the time you even realize what happened, the house is already being renovated by the next investor like you. So, now typically, obviously in the non-judicial, like let's say Georgia or Texas, there's notices. They need to provide notices, right?
Absolutely.
Where typically it's like 2 to 3 notices, public notices, and they put them in like publications, like newspapers, like, hey, we're going to foreclose on 123 Main Street in Georgia, and then talk to me about Georgia. When did they do the auctions there? I know the answer, but
every Tuesday here in Georgia, Texas, the same, right?
I love it.
And I love the point that you just brought up. I've never thought about it that way, in terms of if you're in the blue states, which was my case, because it takes longer, you have more time to figure things out, I guess. Because that deal took us like 6 months, but we ended up making the first deal, ended up making $68,000 assignment on it, doing an LLC assignment. But the con to that for newbies that I meet a lot that are in blue states, to me, it's also the fact that if you're new and you're trying to get into this business, the first, I would say, 6 months will make or kill you. Most people don't have the resilience to last longer than 6 months trying to find their first deal. They just give up. So getting that first win fast is important, right? So if you're in judicial states, and I've met a couple of newbies recently, even at the BPCon Big Apartments event recently. They're in Central Florida, which is a judicial state. So the frustration, right? So I would say if you are somebody who's going all in full time, I would do it both in the red state. So what I would do is link up with a closer like Yasser, so that when you generate the lead, even though it's a fast speed, he can help you close hands-on, and you learn it. You don't have to, like, the thing is, for me, my first deal, bro, I didn't know even what the term pre-foreclosure meant. Soon as the lead told me, hey, if you can do, and this is literally what John, the seller's name is John. He said, Mamadou, if you can do anything with it, it's yours, but I don't believe it's mine anymore. Right? I was like, okay, fantastic. I said, you know what? Let me get my partner tomorrow on the phone with you on a 3-way, and he'll explain, because I don't know how this thing works. I just wanted to make sure you're open to it. Here's what I did. Hung up the phone, went on the wholesale Facebook group of Baltimore, and I made a post. Said, guys, I have a lead. I need help. I'm new. Boom. Somebody reached out to me, hopped on it through and explained the process. I didn't have to do it. And I JV with them, gladly so, because 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing at the end of the day. So if you're in a red state and you're generating leads from your couch in a red state, just reach out to a closer that can help you close on it. It's called Squad Up. That's what I would do.
I love it. I love it, man. Yeah, this business, you know, and I could proudly say this, 20 something years in this business now, every single dollar I have ever made was because of or with someone. So if you think you're going to come in here, you know, brand new and you watch some YouTube videos and you're going to make money by yourself, it's not going to happen, guys. You want to make a quick buck? Remember, a quick buck is a cheap buck, right? So, but if you make a quick buck, it's not going to last very long versus 100%. These relationships right here. 100%. You know, so that's what it's all about. You know, plus, think of it this way. Would you give a scalpel to a medical student to operate on your brain? You know? I don't know.
Unless you're retarded. Unless you're retarded. You know?
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about, you know, I got a question up here as well about lead generation. Hey, you know, yeah, I get this, man. I know you get this all the time, bro. Like, hey, how do you get these leads? How do you get these foreclosure leads? You know, I could start off with my favorite, and then I guess you could.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. I'm curious.
You know, guys, that started with door knocking. All right. The more uncomfortable you are, the more money you're going to make. It's as simple as that. Okay.
Repeat that twice.
The more uncomfortable you are, the more money you will make. And the less competition there will be. Okay. It's as simple as that.
Take notes, guys. Write this in freaking bold in front of you.
Speaking bold, right? That's the bold method right there, man. You know, so that's what it came down to. I started off obviously as a realtor in New York. You know, back when I was 18 years old, I was a young kid, hungry, and I didn't know how to get these leads. I saw all these real estate agents and investors spending thousands of dollars a month. I probably had like $14 in my account, you know, and I was like, hey, what's the best way to do this? Let me start knocking on some doors, you know, pair that up with foreclosure. Oh my God, that is a money maker, man, because you get to be in front of people where the typical investor, typical wholesaler, typical new investor will go in and all they're going to do is pull a list off of one of these websites, right? Skip trace it, start calling, right? And that's what everybody and their mother's doing that, right? So if you're doing something that other people are not doing, you're going to be successful, not just in this business, any business.
Any business, 100%.
You know, think of Apple. Think of Apple. Yeah. Apple's completely dominating, right? They're doing something completely different. So door knocking is very great. And if you guys want us to talk about door knocking, we plan on making this as a series about all about foreclosures. Mama Dude, I know you love foreclosures. I know I do too. And I know that we love teaching this stuff. All right. So
I might name one of my kids pre-foreclosures DLO pre-foreclosure something.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it, man. So, you know, so obviously you know, if you guys want us to talk about door knocking, I'll be more than happy to, you know, provide some serious value, teach you the do's and don'ts of door knocking, because there's a lot of don'ts as well. So what other methods, you know, what do you do with lead generation, man?
So what you said right here is tough to add anything to it, because that's the key, right? But here's the thing. The number one question I get, actually, the last event that I spoke to was a pre-foreclosure event. Now, there's nothing wrong with this question, but I think sometimes people don't think before they ask stuff, right? So you have to be a little bit logical sometimes. So the question from newbies is, what if I don't like door knocking? What if I don't like cold calling? What if I only like texting, but I only like texting in the morning, and then in the afternoon I need to watch Netflix and jerk off a little, right? So if none of us is waking up in the morning, guys, and doing any of the strategies that we're about to speak about in terms of the marketing because we enjoy it, right? It's because it needs to be done to give you that financial freedom and then give you the free time to do what you love. So it's not about whether you like it or not. It's about what works, right? Then when you find out what works, you don't reinvent the wheel. You pick the one that you know you will be the most consistent with, not the one you like. Nobody cares about what you like. Your bank account don't care about what you like, right? So door knocking, he just touched on it. Any day, anytime. My partner, who went from my student to my partner, Andrew Powell, shout out to him and his wife here in Atlanta. They're absolutely badass, straight gangster, crushing it door knocking, straight from Jamaica, with his thick accent, closing deals every single day. He's one of my partners yesterday. English is your first language. You're physically and mentally healthy. What's your excuse? I'm just saying. Right. But with that being said, he's door knocking, right? So somebody like Andrew will always beat you on some of the sweetest deals. That's just reality because he's face to face, right? He can build way more rapport. He can truly show them with body language that he cares. Plus, most of these sellers, naturally, because they're being, hunted by debt collectors, they disconnect their numbers. So obviously, you trying to cold call or text them might not work. So if somebody door knocks, now it doesn't mean you're not gonna get deals by texting or cold calling. It just means you have to do 4 times the effort that Andrew is doing, basically.
Correct.
On average, he door knocks 12 doors minimum per day. Most people also, there's way less competition, like you just said, on the door knocking because most people don't have the balls to door knock. It's just
straight up. That's straight up what it is. That's what it's about. Oh, did we lose him? I think we lost him. There you go.
No, yeah, the live just got up. Sorry, guys.
There you go.
I have the you know what? Shout out to Andrew. I have the Jamaican Wi-Fi today.
Jamaican Wi-Fi. You said that with an accent too. I love it, man. I love it.
Okay, so first thing first, please, if you ever meet me in person, don't ask me, Mamadou, if I don't like this, I don't like this. Nobody cares about what you like. I don't either. I do it because it needs to be done. That's the first thing, right? Please, if you're offended by this, be offended. I don't care. So you have door knocking, you have texting, and then you have cold calling. You have direct mail, and then we can go on and on. But we're gonna keep it to the cheaper ones because typically when you're starting in this business, you have low funds or maybe even zero. You just need to be resourceful. You really don't have to spend much. Right. So door knocking, fantastic, or is sweat equity, right? If you can't be consistent with it, I always say pick what you can be consistent with. Do it. It's better to do it 3 hours per day or 1 hour per day every single day than do it only 10 hours once a week. That's not consistency. That's the first thing. So you have the door knocking, works great. If not, you can do the texting. We found out texting works well as well, but we have to do triple times the effort of a door knocker when we text. We do cold calls. So what we do is we have the door knocking, and then the leads that we don't cash there, we cold call them and text them, and then we do the follow-ups. And then the people we can't get hold of, we take it a step further. We find the family members and we cold call the family members, right? But please, guys, I want to ask you this question, Yasser. What do you think when people go, yeah, but I don't really like cold calling. I don't know. I just get annoyed by this question because if you're not, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's just me, but I get annoyed by that.
Well, I could tell you this. All right, being a mentor for such a long time, I've been doing this for years, man, teaching this stuff, and I could tell you, thank you guys, love you too. So I could tell you this: love the result, not the process. It's as simple as that. It's simple, simply said, right? But also do it because you're coming from a perspective of helping people out. All right. The reality is, here's a paradigm shift, Mamadou. If I have a list of, let's say, 15 pre-foreclosures or even foreclosures, all right, let's call it foreclosures. Right. And they're motivated. They have an auction date next week.
Right.
This is a family that worked so hard to get their property. Okay. They saved up all the money, working day and night. Next thing you know, something happens. COVID happens. One of them loses their job. One of them loses a limb, loses their job, whatever it is, whatever causes the situation. Then all the years that they spent raising their kids in that property are going to go. They're going to be gone next week because the sheriff is going to show up the next day with an investor and key in hand with deed in hand.
All right.
And they're going to be homeless. Now here I am. This is one of the properties of 15 properties that I need to go door knock or cold call or text or email or pigeon even, you know about the pigeons, man. I can right. So let's say I'm like, oh, I'm lazy or I'm procrastinating or I'm scared or I hate it or I don't like it or my butt itches or whatever it is. Guess what happened? You just did that family a disservice.
Yeah.
Family was waiting for you, even though they don't know about you. Okay. So that's why we don't have to like what we do. You know what I like, Mamadou? I like seeing people win.
100%.
Against the banks. Against
100%.
the banks. I don't like the banks. I like when people win against the banks. So any day that I get a win like that motivates the crap out of me. Right? Motivates the crap out of me to go and door knock and cold call and text and send all the different communications. So that's the way you want to look at it. You know, if you are scared, or what if they say no? What if they say no? Every great conversation, every great negotiation started with a no. No means that they're interested. Believe it or not. You know, I know it doesn't seem that way. Here's another thing too, Mamadou, and you were bringing up the cold calling and the texting and the door knocking and all that. A lot of people, I don't know if you experience this with others coming to you. They go, "Oh, well, I'm like, what are you doing for lead generation?" Because they always ask me the question, and then I return the question back, a question with the question, and I ask them, "Hey, like, what are you doing with the lead generation?" "Oh, I'm cold calling." And I'm sitting there like, and they're like, no, that's it. I have a VA and they're calling a list for me. Okay. Yeah. Well, so what else are you doing? That's it.
All right.
So what if your VA doesn't? So the point is to stack all the lead generation together. Okay.
Right.
You said something on a live that I really appreciated. And I'm going to highlight this for you. Right. Something that I love that you say all the time. You talk about the 3-foot rule.
Right.
3 feet diameter around Mamadou Diallo, right? You tell people what you do. I stop foreclosures. I'm an investor, right? I help families in every step of the process. And I love that. I love that. Okay. So that's one lead generation. But then you stack it with cold calling, door knocking, email, letters, even direct mail still works, guys.
Yeah, it does.
Still works, but you still have to be. What's the key word that I'm looking for? It starts with a C.
Consistency.
Consistency, right? So
consistency works. As you can beat it.
Regardless of what type of lead generation you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about here. I got one. You know, the types of sellers. So what type of sellers do you guys typically reach out to? What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, because we're in the problem solving business, to be honest, we focus on the seller. So we split it, right? We do a wide net type of marketing. Like you said, number one, you want to hit them, through the front door, then the window. Then if the window don't work, you try the roof. So this is why you want to cold call, text, door knock, whatever. This is why it's hard for you to do it alone. Now, when you first start, you're a solopreneur, quote unquote. You're doing everything, so you don't want to be all over the place because it's hard to handle. So in the beginning, that's why you want to squad up also, right? So with that being said, we focus on the people that have an auction coming up within the next 4 weeks in red states. In the blue states, we cast a wide net, right? If we hit, great. If we don't hit, the only thing we're relentless on is the follow-ups. A lot of people, what they do is, the newbies, is they focus too much on fresh data. Every single day, they focus too much on pulling a new list, talking to a new seller, because the other seller right there is a knucklehead. They keep saying no. When I call them, they're not ready to take a decision. So I'm just chasing that new lead that will give me a fast yes. And I drop that lead that is already in my CRM and the window is already open instead of nurturing that lead, right? Your gold is in the follow-ups, period. 90% of your time daily should be on follow-ups, not on new lead generation. On follow-ups. New lead generation is after follow-ups, right? Especially when you're a solopreneur, especially when you don't have a team, right? So we focus highly on the people that have an auction coming up within the first 4 weeks. We know for sure the first 3 weeks is no, F you, no, I'm not ready. I'm talking to Josh Mo. I'm talking to my auntie. My auntie is going to lend me the money. No, I get it handled. No, the lender told me I no longer have to pay my loan. There is a new rule. My house is paid off without me paying it off. I've heard it all from
everything. It's like you went through the book of objections. I love it, man. Thank you.
Right. And you have to remember, like Yasser said, we are in the problem-solving business, guys. This is not about real estate. We solve a problem, and by extension, we get a property and a check as a result. But we solve a problem. It's never. I've noticed a pattern with pre-foreclosures. There's always a divorce right around the corner. Either they just got into one, or they just got out of one, or they're going into one. Yeah. There is a loss of a job. There is a loss of a family member. There's so much they're going through. I like to tell newbies that as a foreclosure marketer, you are a non-licensed therapist. That's what you are. Okay, so you're not there. If you just go to these people and all like they can smell it from afar. You just want my house, right? That's not what you're there for. You're there to provide assistance. You're there to provide resources, and then you tell them, "I'm a plan B. If your plan A don't work, I'm here to buy." That's how I also make money. So you don't want to sound like, "Oh, you're just one of Jesus's 12 disciples and you're out here just
right." Right.
That's not who you are.
So essentially, you want to be a safety net.
You want to be a safety net.
I like using that word with sellers because you know, and then I go like this, like I got you. I'll catch you if push up, you know.
You have to be able to distinguish yourself from the 200 other calls they're getting. So we focus on the ones first that have, you know, an auction within the first 4 weeks coming up. We track the auction date, and then we follow up relentlessly within the first 3 weeks because we know at the 4th week, either the day before of the auction or the day of, at the 1 hour before, they reach out and go, "Oh, I finally need help." But why would they reach out to you is because you've been following up relentlessly, that you are the person on top of their phone book, right? You're the last call they got, or you're the last text message they got, or you're the last annoying guy that they got at their door. That's the only reason they remember you, because everybody and their mom is calling you. Yeah. Real estate agents, wholesalers, lenders, it's crazy. You bro, I went one time on the property that we got. Actually, we're doing a fix and flip right now. It's a pre-foreclosure, right? It's a door knock. The first time was a door knock, but we ended up closing it with the follow-up on the phones. Mm-hmm. But when we went, we had 4 people that door knocked this lady, this couple. Mm-hmm. We walk in the door, we ran through, there was sticky notes in the front door, in the living room, in the back door, in the garage, sticky notes. And bro, folders like this of mail from wholesalers and agents. Hey, I can save you. Even attorneys saying, "I noticed your property is blah 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 blah." Because so can you imagine? How do they even remember who you are? You're not special. They don't even remember your name, right? So the only person they remember is the person that relentlessly was a pain in the man. This person just cannot stop knocking on my door.
It's the squeaky wheel concept, man.
Then last minute, you're the only person they remember. Yeah. Literally, that's the only reason we're getting these deals is because we're relentless on the follow-ups. Plus, we truly show them that we care. We're here to help. We genuinely, truly care about helping this. I don't care if you're looking to keep your property. We'll advise you how to do so. We don't get involved because, we don't spend our money but we will advise you on what to do. Yeah. Go talk to them. That's not a problem at all. That's the business we're in. We solve problems, and by extension, we make money, and we're not going to get every deal. But I guarantee you, if we compete, we'll beat you on the follow-up because that's where people completely give up. They get frustrated. Well, I have my rent to pay tomorrow. Why is this person not signing the contract? It's me. No, you think them first. You solve their problem, and the universe just open up and pays you. That's how it works.
I could tell you. I think we're gonna measure here. So as far as 3 to 5 touch points is absolutely key. I found from my experience 7 to 12. Is usually
7 to 12. Yes, that's really
usually. But this one particular one, I still lose sleep over it, and it happened during 2008. during the subprime meltdown. 19 months follow-up, bro. 19 months. Door knocking, calling. It was the texting, but the old school texting with the and it was just, letters, everything, friends, family, sending them over, sending gifts, all that stuff, just to save this guy's foreclosure, right? So he doesn't walk away with nothing. Finally got it. So if you don't have a long follow-up game like that, you're not doing the business right, because really the bread and the butter is in the follow-up in this business, man. And the way I look at it, Mamadou, I'm very metaphorical. So the way I look at it is like a river. Okay, a river is your lead flow, right? But the lead flow is also the follow-up, right? But when it rains, what happens? The rain goes into the river, fills it up a little bit more. The rain is the new leads, right? But the main river is the follow-up, and that's the key right there. That business, the follow-up is the business. The rain is the new leads coming in. People focus, instead of looking at the river, they look at the rain and forget about all the river in front of them. It's like, oh, God, give me more water, but the water's right in front of them. and they wait for the rain to start and stop. Meanwhile, they got a whole river to drink from or to bathe in. You see what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I teach it, and that sticks with people's minds, especially new investors. That mentoring and stuff. That's really awesome, man. So let's with the rapport building now. Let's talk about rapport building, and we're taking questions, guys. So if you put the questions in the chat, we are more than happy to answer questions. We're going to open up Q&A towards the end, and then we'll answer whatever questions you guys have. So, Mamadou, talk to me about rapport building. Is that important or what?
That's very important, man. I didn't even notice my mic went off. I don't know if can you guys still hear me? Okay, no?
Yeah, I still hear.
Okay, my mic is not charging. It's fine. Rapport building. So here's the thing, right? Because I'm assuming we're addressing a new audience. I mean, not a new audience. Sorry, newbies in general.
Yeah.
So I would say in the beginning, it's tough because most newbies, they have absolute zero skills, right? So in the beginning, for me, what I focused on when I was new is how can I keep a seller 5 minutes on the phone? Have them at least open to the conversation. Then, because this is a serious matter where somebody's life is on the line, somebody's property, they're about to lose it, like you said earlier, where they raise their kids. I don't play with people's lives, right? So I go bring somebody who's more experienced to have that other conversation. But in terms of building rapport, it's through reps. You need to learn, because the whole thing is, in the beginning, you're not confident because you don't know your product. You don't know how to guide them through what they can do, what options they have, until you master those options. How do you explain it? What does it mean? And you can't do that in 2 days. You can't do that in 1 week. Might take you 90 days if you're somebody who's consistent, not only consistently on the phones daily, having conversations with sellers, or maybe in front of the doors, but also somebody who's consistently part of a group where you wake up in the morning and you role play, or even at night, doesn't matter, but you role play, right? Somebody's a buyer, somebody's a seller. A lot of newbies don't do that. They take it for, you cannot wing this, basically, unless you want to do one deal every year. Like, I've met so many people, like, they do one deal this month and then a year later. So you meet them at these meetups and they're completely mentally drained. That's because they're taking this like amateurs, right? You gotta be a professional about this. So in the beginning, I would focus on how can I structure my call to where I can keep the seller 5 minutes on the phone and get the initial information that I need, have them warm up and open up to me, right? So that at least tell me their problem. Hey, potentially I'm open to selling, or I just want to keep blah, blah, blah. So you come back to me and tell me what you can do. Then you get the more experienced person, and then you learn hands-on, right? It could be on a 3-way. It could be where somebody like Yasser record the call on the follow-up. You can listen to it later and you JV with it, right? Me personally, that's how I did it in the beginning. I wasn't trying to, so I found a basic script to help me be structured, and then I kept my calls really simple. So as a newbie, since I didn't have any sales background, I didn't even know what pre-foreclosure meant, is I literally saw myself as an appointment setter. Yeah. Right? So I'll go in, have the conversation, and set up the appointment for somebody like Yasser the next day or the day of. and he will come in and have that more sophisticated conversation. And that's how I learned, hands-on, listening to people on the three-way closers. I'm like, oh, okay, so next time this is how I overcome this objection. Ooh, next time this is how I do it, right? And then every single day I was part of Zooms where we're role playing. So I'm being uncomfortable. I'm raising my hands and I'm role playing. I'm getting hung up on. I'm sweating like my palms. I remember, bro, back then I would call a seller or whatever, and then when he rings, I'll hang up.
How about this one? Please don't hang up. Please don't pick up. Please don't pick up. Right?
Please don't pick up. And when it's a voicemail, you feel like you've been productive. But guys, if you persist through that, because it's through the reps. It's like, think about it, it's like in any sport, guys. It's like, if you know, I grew up in Europe, right? I love soccer, so I used to play soccer a lot. But even with soccer, like at first I was a striker, but in the beginning, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, man. I was just running all over the field,
right.
Blah, blah. My coach is screaming, no, you stay here, you don't go back all the way to the right? But I kept coming back to the practice. I kept coming back. I obviously haven't become a professional. That's why I jumped into real estate. But the average person, I would still kick your butt in soccer any day, right? But that's because I kept coming back to the practice. So it's the same thing with sales, guys. This is like, you can't wing this stuff. You cannot wing it. So you have to know your product. You have to know the rules and regulations, the laws, because that's what you explain to the sellers. You have to know the options that the bank gives, but it takes time. And if you're not somebody who's consistently taking this serious, the practice, making sure you're squatting up with people that can help you. Guys, with pre-foreclosures, I hate when I see newbies playing with sellers, trying to do it all by themselves. I've seen so many sellers lose their properties at the auction because of a newbie that have no clue what they're doing. Both wholesalers and agents, I've seen it.
I got one for you.
Their house. And that drives me nuts, just because they don't want to reach out to somebody who has more experience and JV with them. They want to keep everything, and they end up having this homeowner lose their home. Please, guys, if you're a douchebag, if you're that type of person, please.
Yeah, it's and that's a scarcity mentality, Mamadou. That's what it is. Sure. It's not an abundance mentality, because at the end of the day, who's going to lose? The seller and you, if you're doing that. So, I'd rather, hey, I don't understand something. I'm going to take it to someone that's knowledgeable, that has done multiple deals, that knows what they're doing and how to mitigate a foreclosure, how to talk to the attorneys and all that stuff if we need to. So that's amazing. Yeah, I had one man where and I want to go back to something that you said that about the whole follow-up. I know we're kind of backtracking there. Mm-hmm. My team experienced this. Nia and I, my partner, and my wife, she ended up getting a listing from a foreclosure. Check this one out, man. From a foreclosure that was handed off to me. I went to the person's door, right? He introduced me to her. It's right around the corner from here. We sat on the lady's porch. We're talking, and she's like, "So you're not here to see the house?" I'm like, "No, I'm not here to see the house. I'm here to see you. I want to know what's happening with you." So with that being said, one of the things that I really appreciated that this guy did was, one, he owned up to, hey, I don't know anything about this, about foreclosures. He owned up to it and told us straight up, let me bring an expert in. I was like, sweet. I love that. And that's why I want to work with you. I appreciate that you're humble enough to, if I don't know something, even at this level, I go to someone that knows it.
That's the best credibility builder too. With the seller. They respect that highly.
Exactly. So the second thing that he did was, and I really appreciated that he did that, was he kind of talked to her in the sense that, hey, this guy is very busy, but he's very knowledgeable. And you want him on your team to handle the foreclosure, to handle the bank, right? To get him off your back. So it's that warm handoff that's so powerful, bro. And that's why I wanted to bring it up here. And guess what? We never even closed on the deal. You know why? We were able to stop the foreclosure. We got her a loan mod, and she ended up staying in the property. Right? This was 3 years ago during COVID. She calls me up right in front of my team. We were on a call, and I took the call and essentially said, hey, Yasser, you're the best. I love you, and I love your wife. I want you to list my property for me. Now, mind you, I'm a realtor in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So I'm like, all right, hey, let's do it, And the team heard it. And if you guys are on the call, chime in, But that was so freaking cool to hear. Dude, that's like 3 years later. I had totally forgot about this lady, right? All of a sudden, she's calling me out of the blue. Why does she remember? Because of the way we handled it for her. The way we, so people remember you for how you make them feel as well. You see what I mean? So if you're able to like make someone feel like they're important, right? Genuinely, not putting on a front. You see what I mean? You really want to go out there and help. Foreclosures and probates are the two niches that are so powerful when it comes to empathy, and that's like something that you can't teach. You either have it or you don't.
That has to come naturally. You can't think it.
Think about that. I know this, think about like probates. Hey, I know your uncle died. Do you want to sell your house? Right. And I've heard that before. I've heard, heirs, personal representatives telling me this. And I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, that's really heartless. And I'm sitting here with my flamethrower about to, scorch the earth pretty much, with the other competition. So, but yeah, so that's something that, if you are handing off something like that, like a lead or a conversation that you had with the seller and you're uncomfortable and you're listening to this right now, reach out to us. Mamadou is a phenomenal closer, right? Phenomenal 100%. Closer. Mamadou, how do they find you, man? How do they connect with you?
Born to close, man. At Real Estate Diallo on Instagram, at Real Estate Diallo, D as in David, IALLO. And yeah, you can find me on all platforms.
Awesome. And you could find me on I Am the Property Captain, at I Am the Property Captain. By the way, that was a name that was given to me. I don't know if you know that. I was sitting there, as a new pilot, renovating houses in Michigan back in 2008. And there was a lot of people that were working with me, and they're like, you're going to be a captain one day, and you're working on this property captain. That's how, so I was like, that's pretty cool. That's a cool name. So it's stuck ever since then, Cool. We got a question here. You ready for a little bit of Q&A?
Yeah, let's wrap this up with this Q&A.
What if the plaintiff isn't a bank and a name appears in the case docket? So right off the bat, we're talking judicial. All right. I guess I'll
in the blue state.
I guess I'll handle the blue states. You handle the red states. All right. With this, you would obviously operate the same way. All right. Approach it the same way. Remember, you're dealing directly, with the person that's filing the foreclosure. All right. So if the plaintiff isn't a bank, I've negotiated a lot with private money lenders who were foreclosing on people. I've dealt with, a non-bank type of, but keep in mind the same concept still applies. They are a lender holding a note, right? And holding the deed of trust or the mortgage in New Jersey, pretty much. So you have to approach them the same exact way. There's no difference in that one. So,
yeah, I 100% agree with that one.
Cool.
Second one here, if you're door knocking and they're not cooperating, do you knock again a week later and just call them?
You bust their door down, right?
Is it what?
You bust their door down. That's what you do.
I know, right? We come in, pit bulls, everything. If that doesn't work, we go buy some chocolate. We try that too. But outside of that, yes, we actually know what we do is we cold call them the next day right away. And then, yes, if we still can't get hold of them through cold calling and texting, we go back the week afterwards. And one time we're going to have here as a guest, Andrew, badass. Guys, another nugget I'm going to give you guys. I've never door knocked a door in my life. I don't have to. And I'll tell you guys why, right? When I started, like I said, I was in Maryland. That's where I started my journey. No, I started in PA, then in Maryland. But my pre-foreclosure journey started in Maryland. Now, Maryland, number one, have a gray area law when it comes to marketing to pre-foreclosures. That's one. Technically, you cannot market to pre-foreclosures. That's a story. That's another story for another day. Secondly, is a blue state. Thirdly, I'm not interested in door knocking. Never been my thing. What I decided to do is this. I decided to work my way up to become such a great closer to where if I reach out to newbies that are marketing, however they're marketing, I don't care if they're putting vendor signs, I don't care if they're cold calling, I don't care if they're door knocking. If they bring me a lead, I will know how to talk to the seller. I will know how to solve the problem. I will know how to negotiate with the bank. So I started marketing myself. Hey guys, if you're afraid to talk to sellers, if you get a lead, call me. I'll get on the three-way with you, and bang, 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 I'll close it for you. So I started marketing myself as a closer. So I never had to go out and door knock myself. My partner's door knock from Texas, Atlanta, the Carolinas. The people I do deals with door knock. So based on their KPIs, that's what I'm telling you here. You won't catch Mamadou in front of a door knocking, but that's because so you have to bring some value to the table, guys. This is why I was saying earlier, I hate the question of I don't like doing. You have to do something. So for me, I focus on the phones, being good on the phones. I don't like it, but I did it. Now I'm comfortable. Like I'll take a deep breath. By the way, that stress never goes away, but I take a deep breath once I'm in it because I've done it so much. I've done so much reps, and I just flow naturally, right? But I have now a skill that I can bring to the table to where somebody's not gonna go, oh yeah, but Mamadou, you're not. I have a value I'm bringing. So it's either one, you're a good closer, or you have the money, or you're a good door knocker. There's something you have to bring to the table, or you're a good connector, right? So great. I hope that makes sense.
I love that. I love that. You know, you will find me at the doors. So
Exactly.
that just goes to show that there's so many different ways to do this business, you know, and it's different approaches, but the end result is still the same. You see what I mean? So,
let's see, what was the next one? Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, so we do it. So if Andrew door knocks, for example, or whoever from the team door knocks, we don't get them, we call the same day or next day, but we call we guys, until they say I'm gonna put a knife on you, I know where you live, I'm gonna come and kill you. We're there, man.
we're having fun with this. I love it.
How do you handle situations where there is a tenant in place and they know exactly what's going on? Gatekeeper, I love that question. Who's Facebook user? You gotta have a name. You cannot just be.
You guys
have
mystery.
To. I kind of like the mystery a little bit. Let's leave it.
I don't know if you're like this. I know you're like this. I love living life on the edge, man. So you know what? Let's keep it secret.
Yeah, let's keep it secret.
But put your name, whoever you asked this question. Now, I could tell this is somebody from my community.
Good question.
So because it came up recently. You want to take a crack at it, or you want me to go?
No, go ahead.
All right, cool. So by the way, just like what Mamadou was saying about, you know, divorce or probate tagged along with foreclosures, squatter tenants is another one. That's the peanut butter to the jelly. All right. So you're going to get these situations all the time. Out of 10 times, I'd say roughly 5, maybe 6 times that you'll see that. So the best way to handle that, right? There's something where I like working with honey. All right. Bees get attracted to honey. They don't, get attracted to vinegar. So one of the best ways to handle this, that the way I do it, is to de-escalate. Okay. If you continue escalating, nothing good is gonna come out of it. Typically, what people want, and this comes down to now a people business. It's always gonna be a people business, regardless of what business you're in, especially real estate. It's not about the houses, guys. It's about the people.
100%.
Finding out what the tenant wants, why they are clinging onto that property. All right. When I look at stuff like this, when I look at a squatter tenant, first, I want to know why they are the way they are. Okay. So I ask a lot of open-ended questions. Okay. Most of the time, I like to do the I like to do the conversation with the tenant face-to-face, believe it or not. Because, 50% of it, 70% of it is body language, 30% of it is tonality. And so if they see that you are there, caring, genuinely caring, not trying to get them out the house, but actually caring genuinely about what is going on with them personally. Forget about the landlord, forget about the property. Let's focus on you. What do you need? All right. What's happening in your life that maybe I could provide a value to you and solve your problem? Is it the money? Right? Is it the money that is causing you the lack of money not having enough money to move, with the moving expenses? Is it the physical part of the actual move that is causing you that pain or that objection of not wanting to move forward? Because either way, what's going to end up happening is, and this is where I go into consequences, actions and consequences. Either way, whether you own the property or not, what's going to end up happening is this property is going to be sold to someone, and they're going to do everything they can to remove you out of this property. And this is now the difference between a red state and a blue state. Blue state, man, we could sit here 2-3 years, man.
I'm telling you.
Or, you
better bring the tenants some chocolate, some candy, whatever they want. Be really nice in blue states with tenants.
Very nice, which is why we use the honey, right, versus the vinegar.
Yeah.
But even in a blue state, and I've handled a lot of situations where people brought me leads like that, where I was able to, convince the tenant to move on, even from far away, even here sitting in New Jersey. So honey works really well with people, right? When you genuinely care about them and really care about their situation, don't worry about the property. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the landlord. Worry about the tenant. Get them what they want. And then eventually what ends up happening 9 times out of 10, it turns into a cash for keys situation.
Sure,
money talks, bullshit 100%. Walks, right? 100%. So, put your money where your mouth is. That's usually the case, though. They don't have enough money because they live, paycheck to paycheck most of the time. So if you're empathetic when it comes to that, and they see that, that's why I want to do face to face. They'll see it. They'll see it on your face and your body language. Don't come across as a very arrogant multimillionaire investor. That never works.
That's not gonna work. They actually hate your guts.
They hate your guts. You're the rich people. You're the top 1%er and all that stuff, right? You need to be relatable. You need to be likable, and you need to be a problem solver that genuinely cares about people, and 100%. You will solve any problem in the world.
Yeah, man, totally agree with that. I have a story like that in Blue State, actually, Maryland, where you're absolutely right. Money talks. And again, this goes back to us saying that we're in the problem solving business. You genuinely got to care about people. I had a seller. I even ended up not buying the property. I wasn't a good fit with the seller, but he was in New York, super busy. I was like, hey, listen, this property is 30 minutes from me. Probably nobody offer you this, but I'm not far. If you want, you can literally tell these tenants that I'm your property manager, and I'll go face to face and talk to the tenant and see what's going on. They're not letting him have access to the property. He doesn't know what's going on. The tenant is always calling the county on him, right? So I went there and talked to this tenant, sat down with them. I came, they thought I was going to do a tour. I said, no, I don't, exactly like you said, I don't want to do a tour. I sat there, talk about their cats and dogs all day. And because people go through challenges, you know what I mean? Like even the tenants, like some of them can barely afford to buy bread, barely afford to buy gas to go to work, right? So you need to understand this is everyday regular people. And so when I was talking to them, I was like, hey, listen, how about if we can offer you this? Like you say, money talks, right? How about we can offer you this? The reason he wants to have access to the property is to make it look better. Maybe then he will give you a chance to come back, whatever. But guess what? I ended up helping this guy on a lead that I was not going to buy. We already established I'm not a good fit. That's one, with the seller. Then I went to the tenant. I became an intermediary basically between them. And the tenant ended up taking the cash for keys option. If you guys don't know what cash for keys are, is when you literally take literal cash, you give it to the seller and the tenant, they hand you over the keys. Like that's the idea, but it's a legal term, right? Mm-hmm. And that seller, bro, ended up becoming my private lender on a fix and flip, $50,000, and we just met on a cold call, right? So crazy. You gotta be a genuine problem solver for all parties. And 99.9% of the time, if you're truly genuine, because people are too polite to tell you in front of your face, but people know when you're BSing. Yeah. Right? People know when you're not genuine. People know when you kind of like faking it. You can't fake it for too long. So if you don't love helping people, if you have a 9-to-5, I highly advise you keep your 9-to-5, right? And don't try this because it's not going to work out, right? This is a people's business, period, point blank, period. There was another one that I really like from Facebook user. If you have an auction coming up, bro, I'm about to bring out an album, man. You want me to try?
No. What do you mean call it? Boom 2023 hits?
If you have an auction coming up and the property hasn't gone through probate, ooh, I love this one. What is the most efficient and quickest way
to get it stopped. Mr. Captain, I'll let you have a
Right.
crack at this one. This is a good one. I love this one.
Yeah, I love probate. I love foreclosure. It's peanut butter and jelly, man.
Oh,
All right, so one of the things, obviously, there's, and I'm not going to get full detail into the terminology, but one of the terminologies that you should know, especially if you're dealing with probate, is letters of testamentary, right? That is essentially what that means is the person who passes away, there's another person that's taking care of the decision making for the sale of the property, and it has to handle all the assets that the deceased person passed away left behind. Now, without that, okay, usually there's a power of attorney involved. The power of attorney allows one person to act on behalf of someone else, and it depends on if it's in probate or not. Now, there's pre-probate and then there's probate, just like there's pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. Yep. Pre-probate means that there is no probate started. The probate process has not started, and I feel like we could do a whole.
That's a whole other series by itself. We're gonna do a whole other episode by itself.
So if the probate has not gone through court, okay, and you have not received the personal representative, the person that's supposed to act on behalf of the deceased person, has not gotten that letter, all right, typically what ends up happening is who's higher in the hierarchy, and it's usually the lender. Okay, I've had situations. I actually had one situation right in your neck of the woods, actually, Mama. Yeah, in Fulton County, right?
Oh, nice.
Someone brought me a lead. Help. We're about to get foreclosed on. We're in probate. Okay, do we have the letters? No. First of all, the person's like, what the hell is the letters? I had to that was a whole different ball game. I'm like, USPS, right? Like, know. So what ended up happening with that one, and maybe I can answer the question with this scenario. There was an auction on Tuesday. We knew about it. It was already it was an uncle that passed away, left the property to his nephew. The nephew still didn't have the letters to act on behalf of the uncle. Okay, but there was a probate attorney involved already, and that's actually how the lead was brought to this person that brought it to me. But they never had the letter. And so we called the bank, try to stop the auction as much as possible. Hey, we have a buyer in place. And the person actually who brought it to me was actually buying the property for a fix and flip. We try to get on the bank with the bank. In this case, it was Mr. Cooper. That's one of the lenders. And Mr. Cooper was not having it. Okay. Mr. Cooper said, nope. I don't care if there's a purchase agreement in our order or not. We're still going to do this auction on Tuesday. All right. So luckily what ended up happening was we put a rush. The probate attorney was so good. Mamadou, I'm going to have to connect you to him because he's a good dude. Nice, I had him on talking to my community before. We end up putting a rush, and it costs a little bit more money, but putting a rush on the probate court to get this letter that was served now as this is the official letter for this person to sell the property. Once we got the letter, I believe by the time we had it on the contract Tuesday, Wednesday, the court was taking forever. Thursday, they were taking forever. Friday, we got it, and we closed on Friday.
Nice.
And then, and it was like 50,000 in arrears or whatever, just to stop the foreclosure, which is one of the ways to stop a foreclosure. So, typically, I'm not going to get into full detail as far as like the other aspect of it, because that's a whole conversation by itself. That's actually a great question.
Yeah, it's series, guys. We're going to do series. We're going to use those questions as series titles, which, those are all series by itself.
I'm going to save this one because I love this question.
Yeah.
But there is a way to stop it, all right? To stop the foreclosure, even if the person doesn't have the letters.
100%.
Okay. And, and I'm not going to get into it, but just know that the answer is yes. And it is possible.
And you're going to know it in the next episode after I drop my album. If you listen to it and you like it, then.
You like the cliffhanger. You like the cliffhanger, right? So I was like, yes, the answer is yes. But for you to know the answer, you need to tune into the next one.
Boom, boom.
So if you guys enjoyed it, drop some love, drop some emojis. Drop some questions for the next one. Where to reach out to us. Mamadou, where do we reach out to you again?
Real estate dialogue.
At Real Estate Diallo, Mr. Boom Boom himself with us.
Exactly.
And you can reach out to me through I Am the Property Captain. We are looking to do this as a series, guys. So anything foreclosure related and probably probate related as well at this
100%,
point.
100%.
You know, we're looking to do this moving forward and collaborate on this series. So, Mamadou, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. It's always fun to hang out with you.
I know, right?
Studio. So
I hope one day we'll be hanging out, but on a freaking flight, man. So I go, oh man, I'm in the flight and Yasser is flying it. We're going to Dubai to close on the pre-foreclosure lead in Dubai, guys.
Let's go. Look at that manifestation, man. I love it. It's funny to say that. I actually took my wife for the first time ever on my plane going to Scotland over the weekend, bro. And she couldn't believe that I was flying the plane, man. So shout out to her for having the guts to fly on my plane.
I know.
You know, but hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Mamadou. You know, as always, much love to you, man.
Absolutely. You too, bro. You too.
And I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys on the next one. Pay attention to the lives and the stories that we're providing so that, you know, you'll know when the next one she said, I'm so proud. I love it. There you go. Boom.
Oh, Secret Service came out of the dark. You gotta say Secret Service, man. I was gonna give you a name and everything for each episode, like a Secret Service type of name, you know.
I love it. I love it. Secret Service. Sounds great, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one, and boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
We'll see you in the next one. Adios.
Adios.